Forget everything you know about fruit. Imagine biting into a banana that tastes like vanilla custard, or slicing open a lime to find glowing pearls of citrus caviar inside. These aren't lab-grown experiments. They are botanical masterpieces so delicate that global shipping would destroy them before they ever reached your grocery aisle. Finger lime. This little fruit looks more like something out of a science experiment than off a tree. The finger lime is native to the subtropical rainforests of Australia, and it's shaped like a small, narrow cylinder, almost like a green or purple pod. When you slice one open, tiny round beads spill out like pearls. Chefs call them citrus-caviar, and honestly, the name fits. Each one pops when you bite it, releasing a burst of sharp lime flavor that hits fast and fades clean. High-end restaurants have been using them for years, on oysters, on fish, on desserts, on anything that needs that bright citrus edge. But here's something interesting. Despite how remarkable they are, you almost never see them at a grocery store. They bruise easily, they don't travel well, and most people have simply never heard of them. Blue Java banana. Most people have eaten hundreds of bananas in their lives and assumed they all taste roughly the same. The Blue Java banana is here to completely change that assumption. When unripe, this variety has a silvery blue-green color that almost looks metallic. As it ripens, it fades to pale yellow. But the real story is what happens when you taste it. The flesh is soft, creamy, and people who've eaten it consistently describe the flavor as vanilla ice cream. Not tropical, not banana flavored. Vanilla ice cream. In Hawaii, it's actually nicknamed the ice cream banana. It's been grown for centuries across Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands, and it can handle cooler growing conditions than most banana varieties. Have you ever eaten a fruit that reminded you of a dessert? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious what people have tried. Pineberry. Here is a fruit that confuses your eyes before it ever reaches your mouth. The pineberry looks exactly like a white strawberry with red seeds, essentially a color-reversed version of what most of us grew up eating. But taste one, and something unexpected happens. The flavor lands as pineapple first, then shifts into a gentle, mild strawberry finish. It sounds like marketing language, but it isn't. Pineberries are a naturally occurring variety of strawberry, originally from South America, that started showing up in European markets in the early 2000s. They went through a period of real attention when people first discovered them, but they're fragile. They go soft quickly, they don't hold up in shipping, and their shelf life is short even under ideal conditions. That's the main reason they never broke into mainstream retail. Pluot. This one sounds made up, but it was very deliberately created. A pluot is a hybrid of a plum and an apricot, developed in California in the late 20th century by a fruit breeder named Floyd Zager. The ratio runs about 75% plum, 25% apricot, but what comes through when you eat one is something greater than either fruit on its own. Pluots are juicy, sweet, and rich in a way that's hard to describe without tasting one. The skin is smooth and almost glossy, and the flavor tends to be more concentrated and intense than a standard plum. But here's something interesting. There are over 100 different varieties of Pluot. Each one carries its own color, texture, and flavor profile. 100 varieties from one hybrid. That's not a fruit, that's basically a whole category. Grapple. The name is a combination of grape and apple, and it tells you almost everything you need to know. A grapple starts as a Fuji apple, already one of the sweeter, crispier apple varieties out there, then goes through a patented soaking process, Using natural Concord grape flavoring, the outside looks completely standard, round, red, normal apple. But the moment you bite in, a rush of grape flavor hits alongside that crisp apple texture, and it genuinely catches you off guard the first time. The Grapple was developed in Washington State, which has deep roots in apple farming, and it was designed largely to make fruit more appealing to kids who wouldn't normally reach for it. Whether you consider it a true hybrid or something in its own category, the experience in your mouth is unlike anything else in the produce section. Rangpur Lime. Despite the name, this is technically not a lime. The Rangpur lime is believed to be a natural hybrid of a mandarin orange and a citron, which puts it much closer to a mandarin than to a true lime. It looks like a small, slightly flattened orange with a thin, loose peel. The smell, though, that hits like a lime. Sharp, sour, unmistakably citrusy. The flavor delivers on that too, but there's a mandarin sweetness underneath that a regular lime simply doesn't carry. It originated in India, where it's been used in cooking and beverages for centuries. In recent years, bartenders and mixologists have started reaching for Rangpur limes as a more layered, complex alternative to standard lime juice. If you like things with a little more depth to them, this is the citrus you've been looking for. Tayberry. This is probably the least known fruit on this entire list, and that's a real shame. The Tayberry is a cross between a blackberry and a red raspberry, developed in Scotland in the 1970s and named after the River Tay. It's longer than a raspberry and deeper in color, that kind of dark reddish purple that looks almost like it's glowing. The flavor is genuinely something. Sweeter than a blackberry, more layered than a raspberry, with just enough sharpness to stop it from becoming too sugary. The problem is that Tayberries are fragile. They bruise under their own weight. They oxidize quickly, and their shelf life is short even under careful handling. Commercial growers largely walked away from them for that reason, but among home growers, Tayberries have a following that borders on devoted. That kind of quiet loyalty usually means a fruit is doing something right. Ugli Fruit. This one fully owns its name. The Ugli Fruit is a natural citrus hybrid, believed to be a cross between grapefruit, orange, and tangerine. Discovered growing in Jamaica in the 1930s, from the outside, it looks rough, wrinkled, and a little tired. The peel is loose, blotchy, uneven. It doesn't try to impress anyone just sitting there, but the inside tells a completely different story. The flesh is juicy, surprisingly sweet, low in acidity, and far less bitter than a grapefruit. It's more interesting than a plain orange, easier to eat than almost any citrus at that size, and it peels back almost like a large mandarin. The Ugli Fruit is still grown almost exclusively in Jamaica, which keeps it largely out of mainstream global supply chains. You might find one at a specialty market if you know to look. Most people don't. Blood Lime. This one is newer than most people realize. The Blood Lime is an Australian hybrid developed in the early 2000s, created by crossing a red finger lime with an Ellendale mandarin. The result is a small, deep red fruit with skin so richly colored it almost looks like a dark cherry sitting in your hand. Slice it open and the interior is this dramatic burgundy red flesh with a flavor that hits hard, intensely tart, sharply citrusy, and then there's this faint floral quality underneath that catches you off guard. Australian chefs have built a real appreciation for it. It works as a garnish, in sauces, in drinks, preserved in salt or sugar. It's still a young hybrid in terms of widespread availability, but a color like that tends to stop people in their tracks the moment it shows up on a plate. Atemoya. This is the one that tends to stop people completely. The Atemoya is a hybrid of two tropical fruits, the sugar apple and the cherimoya, and the result tastes less like fruit and more like a dessert you didn't see coming. The outside is pale green, bumpy, and looks like it belongs to a completely different era. Break it open and the flesh inside is white, creamy, and almost melts when you eat it. It dissolves more than it chews. The flavor is consistently described as a mix of vanilla, pineapple, and tropical custard all at once. The Atemoya was developed in Florida in the early 1900s and has since found its most devoted following in Taiwan, Australia, and parts of the Middle East. It doesn't ship well, it's not easy to grow, and most people will go their entire lives without ever trying one. But those who do remember it for a long time. 10 fruits, all of them real, most of them completely invisible to the average shopper, sitting somewhere in the world right now, fully ripe, waiting. If this video gave you something to think about, hitting the like button takes 1 second and helps more people find content like this on Meal Mind.